Hello, everyone, and welcome. My name is Julia Mann. I'm also known as the Habit Fixer, and I love helping women over 50 to regain their mojo and age well. I do that with a very simple tapping technique, EFT, nutrition, skincare, and digital products. And today I'm really excited because I'm joined by a dating and relationship coach. Her name is Sybil Ainsley. And Sybil, I can't wait to hear what you've got to say. I think you're going to be talking about 3 habits for women to attract their soulmate, aren't you?
Yep, that's right.
Brilliant. Over to you.
Thank you so much, Julie. I'm thrilled to be here. So, yeah, today what I want to share with you is something that you might not be expecting and might come a bit even as an unpleasant surprise. So the problems that you have identified for yourself in dating, if you're a midlife woman, anything above 40 really might be your age, um, are not actually the problems that are holding you back from finding the love that you desire. And what I mean by that is the problems you're probably thinking about when it comes to finding a partner for a committed relationship are your age, that you feel it's difficult at your age to find someone, that men at this age are looking for younger women. They're not really interested in someone over 40, over 50, over 60. You might find that where you live, there are just no quality men available. The good ones are all taken. You might think that online dating just simply doesn't work because either no one really wants to take you on a date, or you're getting inundated with messages from men you don't find interesting, or you're worried that there are too many fake profiles out there and you don't like the anonymity of it all. So none of this actually is probably the real problem. And why I'm saying that is because if any of this was a real problem, like everyone watching is smart, you would have solved it by now. But if you are in your 40s, 50s, or 60s, and you haven't found the partner to create the kind of relationship with that you want, then the likelihood is there is something else going on that you should really be addressing and that you are overlooking. And it's exactly for this reason that I've created the Effective Soulmate Dating Quiz. When you take this quiz, and it takes all of 2 minutes, you are getting pointers, what you should actually be focusing on that would make a difference and finally move you forward to the relationship you want. How is that sounding, Julie?
Trying to unmute myself.
Sure.
I think it sounds really refreshing, Sybil, because I know that it's something to do with how I'm being out in the world and looking for relationships. So, and I have actually done your quiz and it was really enlightening. So I suspect that probably when I share your information in the description notes, you will put your quiz underneath there, Sybil. But yes, I can really grasp what you're saying. I think, yes, let's look at things in a totally different way.
Okay, yeah, sounds great. So what I'd like then to give you today, as this is the habit fixing channel, and I also like to really be practical, because I know how much that changed things for me. So I'm speaking from my own experience as well as from talking to a lot of women who are midlife, working with those women. But so my own story was that I was divorced, a mother of a kindergarten-aged son. I was working 2 jobs and I found dating extremely difficult. And for as long as I was focusing on all the things that I thought was making it difficult, I was stuck. And the moment I started to work with help, with coaches, to find out, okay, what's actually going on, like under the surface, and investing time and energy in that, then after a few months, I met my husband. So, and this is a true story. So I could feel how things were moving and changing and finally going in the right direction. So based on all of that, what I want to share with you is 3 tips for you to really, make those a priority. And the first one to start with is because I'm talking to women midlife. So how were these women raised? They were probably raised by mothers who had no idea what self-care is, how to pay attention to their own needs and to voice them. And so chances are you were not taught this, and you grew up focusing on maybe your own career because that was finally possible. You were focused on taking care of other people. It's like being a good woman so often involves being the caretaker and giving to others. So my first tip revolves around identify your needs and learn to voice them in a way that's effective. And both parts are really important. So, and it's also, it's a lifelong process, because you might say that, oh yeah, I've learned to take better care of myself in the course of the last decade or so, as I grow older. But our needs also change. So while we first might want to focus more on our career, then later we learn that, no, my body needs more rest maybe. So it's a constant process. We're never done, and there's always more. So, the things to find out, what do I really need? What really serves me in life and brings me the fulfillment that I crave? That's really just attuning to yourself. However that works for you. So that might be journaling, that might be meditating, that might be spending time in nature. It might be talking to someone who is a really good listener or who is able to ask questions that really bring things out for you. And once you've identified your needs and you're really on this mission to finding them, then also you can't deny them and push them down again. So then they're there. You have an awareness. But then the next step is still, okay, how do I communicate that? And that can be really hard for us too, because a lot of us are people pleasers. We don't like to say, actually, you know what? I need something else. Just saying, I need a hug. I need you to hold me. I need to have a good cry on your shoulder. Like that can be really hard. Asking for help, saying to a friend, you know what, I'm so overloaded this weekend. Could you do me a favor? So doing this in a way that is effective and that gets us the results that we need. This is, it's work in progress. And coming back to dating. So I just want to add at the end of this tip, knowing your needs and knowing how to communicate them effectively is absolutely essential for the relationship that you want. Because no man is a mind reader. In fact, men are so different from women. When you think you are being very obvious, you are probably still being subtle, and he's just not getting the message. So to say to a man very clearly, you know what, this is not working for me, without complaining, without blaming, without shaming, I need this instead. Could you please do this for me? That's incredibly powerful. And men, if the man really likes you and wants to be with you, he will at least try and respond to that. Okay, so this brings us to tip number 2, and 1 and 2 are really closely connected. Because number 2 is about knowing your boundaries and enforcing them. Setting boundaries means that we say no to what doesn't serve us, and we create space to what we do want in life, and what we already know because we've identified our needs is really good for us. So if we don't really say no and we don't do it properly so that other people can break in again, then we just simply we don't have the time, we don't have the energy, and we don't have the space to look after us and to go for fulfillment. Another reason this is really important is, and this is a serious one, um, especially for women who've had experiences with men or with people in general, that others are dominant, they are manipulative, maybe narcissists. So all those people who ignore boundaries, and so we have experience with that. We've been the victims of that. It is especially important for us to practice saying no and setting boundaries so that we know I can protect myself and I can trust myself that when I come into contact with someone like that, I'll be able to protect myself. And if we don't do this, then there is anxiety, there is a victim mindset, because we can't trust ourselves. So in terms of how to be practical about this, practice setting boundaries is always possible. And as with everything else, it starts with ourselves. So when you tell yourself at 9 o'clock in the evening, I'm switching off all screens and I'm getting ready for bed for a good night's sleep, then practice doing exactly that. Honoring what you promise yourself, the limits that you want to set in your life, whether it is around junk food, it is around screen time, it is around, being sedentary, like sitting at your desk. Practice this with yourself, that you honor your limits. And then, of course, extend it out to other people, which makes it more difficult because the pushback is palpable, maybe. People might not like it. So then you really get to stretch that muscle, but that pushes you out of your comfort zone. And you need to have a way. So decide, first of all, when someone wants something from me and I don't want to do it, or I can't do it, how am I going to respond? Make it short, make it respectful, unapologetic. You don't need to apologize. Maybe give them an alternative. Or just simply say, you know what, I don't know yet. I'll get back to you. By when do you need an answer? That's it on boundaries. Julie, are you interested in tip number 3?
I sure am. I love this, Sybil. I mean, I was thinking back actually to what you said think about your mother. And my mother was a very beautiful woman. She also kept her, she always looked great. And I think a lot of that was to please my father rather than about her. And so apart from being given the advice that actually I really needed to have clean pants in case I had an accident and she meant being run over, then that was about all the advice I got, and I was very loved by my mum, but actually in terms of practical self-care, things like this, she had no idea. So it's absolutely brilliant that you're sharing this stuff. Yeah. So absolutely. Tip number 3.
Okay, love that this resonates, and now we know where you get your looks. So tip number 3 is also very important, especially for women. And that's about receiving. Because every relationship requires give and take on both ends. And given what I've already said, already made the point that as women, we like to give. We are very good at taking care of others, nourishing, supporting, lending a shoulder, being that girlfriend that someone can vent to. But what about receiving? And if we don't learn that and really practice that even before we get into a relationship, It means, like to put it in very drastic terms, that the man you're with will feel useless because he wants to be your hero. He wants to feel that he can do things for you that you receive and appreciate. That makes him 3 feet taller. Oh God, I don't do feet in inches, so I don't know what that means even.
I do feet and inches still.
So he needs this. It's his fuel. So we have to be really good at receiving. And I speak from experience, I was really bad at it. Because my first marriage was all about pleasing others and pleasing my husband. Like I thought if I just make him really happy, then he will do the same for me and we'll both be happy. And that did not work. So, so receiving, to be a bit more concrete, when someone pays you a compliment and says, "Hey, that top, that's gorgeous on you," really brings out the color of your eyes. What do you say? Do you deflect and say, "Ah, this old thing, I already wanted to turf that." Um, so then what happens is you actually don't feel great anymore, which is the whole purpose of receiving a compliment. And the other person doesn't feel great either because they think, oh, I've just now complimented her on something that she doesn't like. So, it's even awkward. So, receive compliments in a way that's straightforward. Just say thank you. Great to hear. Smile. Nothing more. When you receive a gift, same thing. Just really appreciate the gift. When someone does you a favor, accept it. Of course, if it makes sense. but so often we actually really need a favor that someone says, "Hey, shall I look after your dog while you have to visit your mother in hospital?" And we say, "Nah, you know what? I'll manage. I can probably ask the neighbor to pop in for an hour or so." Why not just say, "Really? Would you do that? That would be so great. Thank you so much." Both sides can feel great if you know how to receive. So I just want to check I haven't forgotten anything. Yeah. So the practical aspect of this could be like if you think that's really something I need to where I need to do a lot of work, think about self-care. Like what makes you feel good? What would make you feel good? It might be taking a long like scented bath with candles. It might be just going out for a walk when it's sunny and listening to the birds. It might be, what else might it be? Julie, any more ideas for really good self-care?
It might be calling someone who you love dearly, a girlfriend maybe, who you haven't spoken to for a long time. I mean that's it. I don't know. Was that one you would consider?
Yeah, I mean, so what I have in mind is this idea that we so often we rush through our to-do lists and we forget about the things that that we need to de-stress. So a call with a good girlfriend, absolutely. To
Watching a
unwind,
movie, watching a funny movie, or maybe
yes,
setting an alarm on the phone so that you only spend a certain amount of time on the computer, and then getting up, putting a great track on, and dancing around the kitchen. Something that
fantastic. So anything that you might, it's like you might have a voice that tells you that's a luxury I can't afford. So those are the things to do and to practice especially when there is an element of, oh my God, I feel like I'm spoiling myself. Because at the end of the day, you probably want to be with a man who spoils you. And to be able to receive that. So this is another thing, right? So many women tell me, I would love a man to be proactive and take the initiative. Like, call me, ask me out on a date, choose the restaurant, like take me into account, but like pursue me. So yeah, great. And I wanted that too. The thing is, if we don't know how to receive, and we are in this doer mode, that we, it's really embedded when, especially when you've been single for longer. And you stand on your own 2 feet, you kind of run your life, you have a job, you make things happen. It can be really hard to let go and say, he wants to do things for me, take care of me, I'm letting him.
Oh, doesn't that sound good? I think that receiving, Sybil, is a biggie, and that's something certainly in my experience. I've been resistant to receiving, and what you were saying about being offered a compliment. I think that when we don't take the compliment, just thank someone, it's a bit like a slap in the face for them, you know. So I absolutely love everything that you've said. There's just so much in there, and I think that whether people are looking to meet their soulmate or strengthen the relationship they have, or even just the relationship with themselves, all of what you've said is relevant. And really, I think if we don't practice self-care, boundaries, and receiving, then life isn't as juicy and fulfilling and happy and healthy as it could be. So I don't know if you've got anything more to say, but I just thought that was absolutely brilliant, and I can't wait to rewatch it.
No, I love what you just said. I think you nailed it. And maybe just as a last thought, so a lot of people, when they come to the point that they say, I want a partner, they immediately go outwards. So they focus on, where can I find him? And the first thing really to do when we come to the conclusion, I want a partner, look at ourselves and make sure that we are as happy and fulfilled as we can possibly be, and put in the work, because yeah, it takes effort, it takes looking and doing.
Sybil, thank you so, so much. I'm going to put all your links below this video. Mine will be there as well. If you've really enjoyed this, then please, please subscribe. If you really have got so much value from it, why not share it? So thank you ever so much, Sybil. I really appreciate all of your wonderful, wonderful habits. And thank you everyone else for watching.